What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we are back with episode 2 of Mod Review. Today we're going to be covering a mod that I just had to show off. With how popular Among Us is at the moment, I thought you guys might really enjoy this one, with this mod being the Among Us vs Fall Guys mod for Star Wars Battlefront 2. Now, this mod is actually 2 separate mods, with the Fall Guys heroes being created by No Tingo Tortuga, while the Among Us villains and the troopers are all made by Tiger Venom 22 over on Nexus Mods. The Among Us mod was actually commissioned by Toasted Shoes, a fellow Aussie YouTuber, for one of his videos, which was pretty hilarious, and I'll leave a link to that down in the description. I'll also leave a link to Tortuga and Tiger Venom's Nexus pages down in the description for anyone who's keen to go and check out the actual mods themselves. Now, in these mod reviews, I'm going to be going through 5 different sections, with those being detail, functionality, additional mods, then I'll give my score for the review as a whole, and then lastly, if it is applicable, I'll touch on any improvements or additions that would also be great to see. Like I mentioned, this is essentially 2 completely different mods, but the Among Us mod actually requires the Fall Guys mod from Tortuga to be able to use it. So for the sake of this video, I'm just going to combine these 2 together as a single score for this episode, but that doesn't take away that this was a lot of great work from 2 separate creators, so be sure to keep that in mind. But anyway, with that out of the way, let's get stuck right into this review. When it comes to the detail of this mod, there is surprisingly a hell of a lot more than I anticipated. This mod actually replaces every single hero and villain in the game with either a Fall Guys character or an Among Us character, with all of them being pretty well detailed and uniquely their own skins. Now, obviously, for the Among Us skins, they're all essentially the exact same thing, but just with different colours instead. But the part that I love is that they're all pretty much modelled off the character's original skin. For example, Darth Maul is black with a red face, Vader is black with a grey part where his armour would be. So there has been some thought put into them, despite the fact that they are just different colours. When it comes to the Fall Guys characters though, these are even more in depth, as they're all actually their own individual skins, taking the outfits that you can get in the Fall Guys Battle Pass and using them for each different character. For example, Chewie is wearing the dragon skin, Han is wearing a cactus skin, Leia is wearing a pot plant skin, Luke is wearing what looks to be an astronaut skin, Yoda is wearing the Ugandan Knuckles skin, and the most fitting of them all in my opinion is Obi-Wan wearing the wizard skin. As you can see, these are all completely unique, and honestly they do look super similar to how they look in Fall Guys, so there's really no faults there in terms of the overall attention to detail of each skin. Now, not only does this mod replace the heroes, but the regular troopers and reinforcements are all replaced as well, and if you guys haven't caught on already, the Empire are the Among Us characters and the Rebels are the Fall Guys characters. By far the funniest of the trooper skins is the Assault skin for the Rebels, which gives us some sort of Slenderman Fall Guy with Mr. Bean as his head, and to be quite honest, I've had trouble sleeping at night since I first played this mod because this is absolutely terrifying. Seeing these guys out on the battlefront charging at you with an E02 is honestly nightmare material, and they are definitely not to be messed with. Now, personally, I do prefer the actual look of the Fall Guys characters since they're all completely unique, and my personal favourites are definitely the reinforcements on the Rebel side, with the Ewok Hunter being replaced by some sort of McDonald's fries, the Jump Trooper being replaced by a delicious looking burger, and the Wookiee Warrior being replaced by the ever famous pigeon from Fall Guys. So even when it comes to the reinforcements, you can see all the detail that went into it. With that being said though, I do much prefer the feel of the Among Us characters, specifically the lightsaber villains like Maul or Vader, as they just seem to work a little bit smoother, they don't have as many clipping issues, and overall they just feel a little bit nicer to play as. Overall, I think the detail of this mod in general is really solid work. Obviously these mods are both a joke to some degree, they're not trying to create the most realistic looking 8K character models that they can, so any imperfections are mostly just down to the fact that this is a meme and not an overly serious mod. When it comes to the functionality, as in how well it works, whether there are any issues or anything like that, this is somewhere that the mods do take a little bit of a step down, unfortunately, as there were a few somewhat glaring issues. The main issue I noticed was to do with some of the Among Us troopers just being completely invisible, essentially just being a floating blaster that had absolutely no hitbox. You could kill them with force abilities or explosives, however with your blaster they were essentially immortal. Another much smaller issue was just some of the clipping that happens with mostly the Fall Guys characters, although there were a few instances with with the Among Us characters too, but I'm not going to be too harsh on that at all because it is just bound to happen when you're using such absurd character models compared to what the original character looked like and what their animations are and all that good stuff. So it was somewhat of an issue, but it's definitely not fair to take marks off of that at all. Lastly, there were just a few issues with some of the environments as well. I'm not really sure what could have caused this, but as an example on screen, you can see the shadows on Tatooine started to pretty much flip out for some reason. This could be completely separate from the mod itself, as I'm not enough of an expert to know how this could be possibly linked, but that has never happened to me before until I used this mod, so I'm going to assume it does have something to do with it. Overall, the mod functioned exactly as it needed to, other than the invisible enemies, as those last couple of issues are by no means game breaking. Now, usually I'd cover any sort of additional mods that can actually improve the focus mod, however there aren't any that I could find, so that means it is time to give the mod a score. The detail of the individual character skins between all the heroes, villains, reinforcements and troopers were amazing in my opinion, and really there wasn't that much that could have been done differently there in order to improve them. In terms of the functionality, however, there were a few issues like I mentioned, which did unfortunately lower the score just a little bit, but I've definitely used a few mods before that have been far more bug ridden than these mods, so it definitely could have been worse on that front. I am giving the Fall Guys Overhaul by No Tengo Tortuga combined with the Fall Guys vs Among Us mod for Battlefront 2 created by Tiger Venom 22 an overall score of 3.7 out of 5, a very solid score considering that there are some genuine issues, which just goes to show how great the actual designs of the character models are. There is obviously so much subjectivity involved in scoring these mods, so let me know down in the comments what you guys would rate the mod overall. Obviously it's a little harder without having played it yourself, but do your best to let me know what you would give this mod out of 5. Now lastly, moving on to just some quick improvements I would love to see, and these are not things that I think should have been done better because I've sort of already covered that with the functionality section, but these are just more improvements or additions that I would love to see if the author is ever planning on making any updates in the future. The main thing that I can think of, which is definitely impossible but I think it would just be hilarious to see, would be some of the current maps or modes in the game actually being somewhat edited and converted into something more similar to Fall Guys or Among Us. For the Fall Guys stuff, it would be amazing to see some sort of obstacle course similar to Fall Guys, allowing players to get from one end of the map to the other in the exact same fashion as the actual game itself. As for Among Us, it would be pretty cool to see some sort of edited game mode incorporating the darkness of Ewok Hunt, where players have flashlights and it's pitch black and there's just one or two imposters in the game who have to kill the others without everyone else finding out. Not all that different from Ewok Hunt in a way, but obviously just a few small changes. Again, as far as I know, these are essentially impossible to make, and I'd imagine that they're even more impossible to be able to use online if they could be made, but it is definitely still funny to think about a bunch of Among Us characters running around on Endor absolutely terrified for their lives. Let me know down in the comments what you guys can think of when it comes to some possible changes or additions. I'm definitely keen to hear what you guys have to say, as I know there's plenty of cool ideas I didn't think of. That is going to do it for this one though, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode of the mod review series, and if you did, then be sure to go and check out the first episode, which covered an awesome Mandalorian mod for Jedi Fallen Order. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to leave a like down below, and if you are new, then consider subscribing to the channel with those notifications on. Thank you all so much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.